If you guys would like to get yourself some official Simpzy merchandise, check out my Spreadshirt link in the description below for t-shirts, hoodies, mugs and cups. If you do make a purchase, send me a photo on Twitter, but regardless, let's get stuck into the video. Hey guys, my name is Simpzy. How are you all doing? Welcome back to some more Rise of Mordor on Total War Attila. Here today, we're going to be doing a faction overview for all the current factions on the newly released alpha of Rise of Mordor. Yes, you can now download Rise of Mordor. I also wanted this video to be a bit of a hub for download links as well. So, Rise of Mordor is officially out on Alpha 1.0. I'll put in the description below the link so you can download and play along with me. But for the rest of this video, we're going to be going through every single unit that is currently available for the Alpha. And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you would like me to do some custom battles, what sort of siege scenarios you would like to see. Let me know. So yeah, if you want to ensure more Rise of Mordor content on the channel, leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and let me know in the comment section down below the custom battle suggestions. So first up, we have the Dwarves. There are currently 6 playable factions on the Alpha. The Dwarves, Isengard, Rhûn, Harad, and of course Gondor and Dale. Gondor and Dale are the two ones that are fleshed out the most, so we'll leave them till last. So first up, we have the Axe Infantry for the Dwarves. We have the Grim Hammers, the very heavy Axe Infantry with excellent melee defense and attack with average armor. They've got 135 health, which is reasonably high for an Axe unit, but that is hampered by their 28 movement speed. Please sort of don't take into account these unit info too much. Obviously, it is still pretty early days of development, and there is obviously balancing issues here and there that they're going to tweak over time. Moving on now to the Spear Infantry for the Dwarves, we have the Spear Guards of Erebor. Very heavy Spear Infantry, once again with excellent armor and melee defense, with pretty decent melee attack. Still 135 health with limited speed, but they do have a very decent boost in attack. Moving on now to the evil factions, we have the melee infantry for the Uruk-hai, Saruman's Uruk-hai of Isengard. They are the Uruk-hai infantry, very heavy melee with excellent melee defense, average attack, but really good armor. That's what you get with these Uruk-hai. Moving on to the Axe Infantry as well, we have the Berserker, which has 240 health, which is interesting. Good attack, good defense, but very poor armor, of course, with 16. The only pike unit the Uruk-hai have are the Uruk-hai pikes, of course, which are one of the best pike units in the game. Moving on now to the Uruk-hai crossbowmen, a very heavy crossbow unit, obviously heavily armoured. They've got very average attack and average sort of armour, but there's 200 men per unit, which is quite strong. Moving on to now Rhûn, the Easterlings. The Easterlings, the Haradrim and the Dwarves only have a couple of units here and there. Gondor and Dale have the majority of the units done, but Isengard has a pretty decent pull at the moment. So let's talk about the Easterlings. We've got the melee infantry, the classic dragon scale, dragon skin unit here. Excellent melee defense, average attack, average armor. They've got 90 health with a 44 attack and a 59 defense. Their speed is currently 32 on the advance. Also, their archers as well, the Dragon's Fire, heavy bowmen with average attack and defense. They do have a poor armor, only 160 per unit, unlike the Uruk-hai crossbowmen that have 200 in one of their units. Here we have the Haradrim faction of Harad. We have the Haradrim swords, a light melee infantry with average attack and defense. Very, very poor armor, unfortunately for them. And last but not least, the unit for Harad is the Southern Cavalry, which gives us good melee attack, very poor melee defense, and very poor armor. They are more of a shock scout cavalry unit. You don't want them facing those Imperial Gondor guards, you know what I'm saying? Moving on to the Gondor faction now. Now, like I said before, this is one of the more fleshed out factions. There's a whole bunch of unit variety in the spear infantry, axe and melee department. First up, we have the cavalry. We have the Knights of the Silver Swan, a very heavy shot cavalry unit with fantastic attack, decent defense, but very average armor. There's only 80 men per unit, but they pack a punch charging at an orc front line. We have the spear cavalry, of course, the Gondor cavalry, a very heavy spear unit with average armor and average defense. Their weakness is their poor melee attack, as they are spearmen, but they're good for pinning down those trolls. There are 3 different types of Gondorian melee infantry. First, we have the Gondor spears, which are the best type. They've got 180 in their unit with 105 health, with 30 speed, 37 attack, and 52 defense. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Ringlow Vale Men-at-Arms? I think that's how you say it. Oh god, these guys are a medium melee infantry with excellent defense and attack but poor armor. Gondor has some of the best units in the game, especially best infantry. They've all got very decent attack and defense. Last but not least, for the melee variant, is the Gondor Spear Militia. Medium infantry, excellent defense, even though they do lack poor armor and a poor melee attack. Gondor has 2 variants of axe infantry. They have the first Hillmen of Limdon, I don't know how to say that. They're a light infantry axe unit with decent melee, poor melee attack, and very poor armor. We have the Warriors of Losnach, I think that's how you say that. They've got very average melee attack, poor armor, and poor defense. So if I was you, I'd be banking on a melee infantry rather than a axe unit. I think the melee infantry is far more superior. Gondor has 4 spear variants as well. Starting off with the weakest is the medium spear Gondor Spear Militia with excellent defense once again, poor armor and poor melee with a health of 90, a unit pool of 160 with decent speed of 35. Moving on to the second tier of medium spear infantry, we have the Peneth Glynnin Spearmen. 160 in the unit pool, good armor, very average melee defense, like really average, but they've got a decent attack. Moving on to the second highest tier of Gondor Spear Infantry, we have the Gondor Spear Infantry, as it says on the fucking can. We've got a very heavy... They're a very heavy spear infantry with excellent melee defense, good armor, but very average attack. Last but not least, we have the Citadel Guard, the cream of the crop for spearmen in Gondor infantry. A very heavy spear infantry, excellent melee defense, good armor, and good melee attack. You want these guys on the front line, holding back the rise of Mordor. The only pike infantry that is currently available is the Fountain Guard. They've made the decision to make them a pike unit, unlike in Third Age Total War. They're a very heavy pike unit with good melee defense, surprisingly average armor and an average melee. You want those guys sort of holding back the cavalry advances on the left and right flank. Gondor has 4 variants of bow infantry, the worst and lowest tier starting off with the Gondor Bow Militia, a medium bow infantry with very poor armor, very poor melee defense and very poor melee attack. I wouldn't be buying them anytime soon, you'd be rather saving up for the sort of heavier quality types which can fight in combat quite comfortably. Moving to the second tier now, we have the Blackroot Vale Archers of Black Vale, poor armor, poor melee defense and attack. These guys are the sort of medium average bow infantry for Gondor. The Gondor Archers, the very heavy bowmen, which are fantastic in Rise of Mordor. Average armor, average attack, and average defense don't really do them justice. They've got 105 health, 160 in their unit pool. They have a very decent melee attack of 26. I actually don't think that's too bad, and a melee defense of 26. So they're actually quite solid of holding that front line if it comes to meat. Last but not least, we have the Ithilien Rangers. These guys are a light bow infantrymen with excellent melee defense, good melee attack, but they have incredibly poor armor. That's what you sacrifice for going with these Ithilien Rangers. You can get some really good defense, but my god, if they cop a volley, it's like they turn into pin cushions. You know what I'm saying? So, do you sacrifice the archer, the longbowman's superiority for the armor? Maybe not. I would still go with heavily armored archers, if I was being honest. Gondor has 2 units of their skirmishers. Not many of these other factions have skirmishers just yet. So we've got the Ankophalas Coastaliers. Oh god, I don't know if I can say that properly. Very light skirmishers. They're just your basic average skirmisher unit. Moving on to one of my favourite units, especially in 3rd Age Total War, we have the Pelargir Marines. These guys are a light skirmisher unit, surprisingly, with a good melee defense, poor armor, and poor attack. I would have given these guys a bit more better quality armor. I definitely think they should be at least a medium tier armor. But I don't know how that would affect and balance other factions. You know, you can't give Gondor the best of everything. Coming up, we have Gondor's artillery. They have a trebuchet, which is a medium artillery unit. And I love fucking trebuchets, especially in Lord of the Rings. It's so awesome when that weight drops and whoo, squashing orcs left, right, and center. Last, but certainly not least, we have the Kingdom of Dale. We have the Dale faction. Now, most of these units are heavily inspired upon The Hobbit and the TV show, of course. That's where most of the visual descriptions of Dale come from. However, the mod team has decided to add their own units with a little bit of sort of artistic reference, you could say. So some of these units are inspired upon some of the writings of Tolkien and in some of the books. So you might see a couple of new units here and there. So moving first up, we have the Cavalry of Dale. We have the Dale Cavalry Regiment, which is a very heavy shock cavalry, great armor, great melee attack and defense. Dale has some of the best cavalry in the game. It's kind of like Dale have the superior cavalry, kind of like Rohan, compared to Gondor, who have better armor infantry. We've got the I can't even say this, Rovion Regent, fucking me, Rovion Regents, the gold and red and silver cavalry there. The gold, it's probably the red variant, is probably my favourite. Melee cavalry wise, we have the Merchant Escorts, which are a very heavy cavalry unit, and then we have the lighter sort of the Northernmen Scouts. Dale has 3 variants of their melee infantry. They have the Shipmen, which are a very, very heavy melee infantry. Even like the lowest tier of melee infantry has really good armor, defense, and attack. Secondly, have the Dalian Swordsmen, which are a medium melee infantry with good armor, good defense, and average attack. Last but not least, we have the Vineland Guards with they're a very heavy melee infantry with good armor, good attack, and good defense. Dale has 4 variants of spear infantry, like Gondor, of course. They start off with their lower tier of a spear militia, very light, with average melee defense, poor armor, and poor melee. Moving up to the second tier of spearmen, we've got the medium spear infantry. These guys are the Lake Town Guards. They're probably one of my favourite looking, and they pretty much are spot on for the TV show. Man, I love Stephen Fry. I actually enjoyed The Hobbits. I went in expecting it, and I actually enjoyed The Hobbit. I really enjoyed those movies. I didn't go in expecting like a Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit heaps before I was watching that movie. So if you haven't read, especially The Hobbit, it's basically a musical. If you know what I'm saying, like there's songs breaking out left, right, and centre. I watched it with my younger brothers. They hadn't seen The Lord of the Rings before. It was a really enjoyable time, the whole experience. Moving on now to the third spear variant, we have the Watch Post Sentiers, which are a light spearman. They've got average armor and average melee defense. The top tier, the cream of the crop. Lucky I didn't say cock, to be honest. But we got the Dalian spearmen of very heavy spear infantry. I love the shields on these blokes. Very heavy spear infantry with decent armor, decent defense and attack as well. Dale only has 1 variant of pike infantry, and that's the Vineland Watchmen. They have some of the best spear equipment I have ever seen in a Total War. I love the trees. They're sort of intertwining. Practically, I don't think it would work. You'd think a spear would shatter quicker if it was intertwined amongst itself. But having obviously a bit of I don't know, fantasy license, these enchanted spears would rip through an army. Dale, the faction, has the most bow infantry variants of all of Rise of Mordor factions at the moment. They have 5, which is fantastic. Starting off with the lower tier, they have the Yeomen of Dale. Very light bow infantry, incredibly poor defense and melee attack and armor. These guys are not very good. Moving on to the Vineland Yard Patrollers. Interesting, a light bow infantry there. They do have a bit better defense and attack, but at the end of the day, it's still relatively poor. Moving on to the middle tier, this is ranking tier 3 of the 5. The Marksmen of Dale, which are a medium bow infantry. We have the Rangers of Rovion. I don't know how to say it. I've seen it before. Rovion. I don't really care how to spell it, to be pronounced, to be perfectly honest. Very light bow infantry for the second tier. And last but not least, we have the Bardings. Bardings? I thought they were Bardlings. Anyway, we've got the Bardings. It says Bardings. I thought it was Bardlings. Anyway, these guys are a very heavy bow infantry with good melee attack, good melee defense, but poor armor. Dale only has 1 skirmisher variant compared to Gondor's 2. They just have the Rivermen, just basic Riverman skirmishers, a very light skirmisher. Unfortunately, guys, it is time to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comment section down below your feedback for the series, and if you'd like to see more, that's the best way to ensure more content. Leave a dislike if you're not enjoying the series. Check out my social media links if you want to stay connected with me. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all in the description below. Highly recommend Twitter. Every single time I post a video, a tweet goes out. It's much more reliable than the YouTube sub box. These days, to get all the notifications for the channel, you have to click the bell, of course, to join the notifications squad. I do enjoy reading those comments. If you guys would like to get yourself some cheap and reliable games, check out my G2A affiliation link in the description below. Maybe you can pick up a strategy game you haven't picked up just yet. Maybe Hearts of Iron, maybe Crusader Kings 2, maybe a Total War. Check out my G2A affiliation link in the description below for cheap and reliable games. I do recommend going and checking out the prices even. There's some really good prices on there. Patreon and merchandise link in the description below, along with the Steam group. Come and join the community on Steam. And on that note, unfortunately, I have to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching once again. Make sure to take care of yourselves. Go out and have a fantastic rest of your day. My name has been Simpzy. Goodbye. Really close cinematic shots here, pushing through the bridge. Oh, look at... That was probably the shot of the video there.